Working the night shift at a gas station isn't glamorous. The pay is low, the hours drag, and most nights are quiet enough to make you feel like the world has forgotten you exist. But sometimes quiet isn't so bad. Because once you've lived through what I did, silence feels safer than company. It was late October, one of those nights when the cold wind rattles the windows and the highway outside feels endless. I was the only clerk on duty, perched behind the counter with a cup of cheap coffee. Around midnight, a car pulled up, an old, faded sedan that looked like it had been sitting in a junkyard for years. The headlights flickered as the engine shut off, and for a moment nothing happened. No one got out. Just silence, broken by the faint hum of the gas station lights. Then the driver's door creaked open. A man stepped out. He was tall, thin, and dressed in a long coat that seemed too heavy for the season. His steps echoed on the pavement as he walked toward the glass doors, but what caught me most was his face. Or rather, the lack of expression on it. He didn't look tired, angry, or even curious. Just blank. Like a mannequin that had learned to walk. I straightened up behind the counter, forcing a smile. "Evening. Need gas or anything else?" He didn't answer. He just stood there, staring at me with unblinking eyes. A shiver ran down my spine, but I told myself maybe he was hard of hearing. Louder this time I repeated, "Pump's ready if you need it. Want me to unlock it?" Still nothing. Just that cold, steady stare. Finally, he turned his head slowly, scanning the aisles like he was searching for something. Then he began walking, not hurriedly but with this slow, deliberate pace, toward the back of the store. Every step echoed in the empty shop, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he was listening for more than just my words. I cleared my throat. "Sir, the back area's employees only." No response. I tried again, firmer this time. "Sir? Can I help you find something?" He stopped dead in his tracks. Slowly his head turned toward me. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, and for a split second I thought I saw his mouth twitch. Not a smile, not a frown, just movement like a glitch in a video. Then, without warning, he vanished down one of the aisles. I cursed under my breath and stepped out from behind the counter. My job didn't pay enough for this kind of thing, but if something happened to the store, it'd be on me. I walked carefully, peeking down each aisle. Canned goods, chips, drinks, empty. No sign of him. But when I reached the last aisle, I froze. He was standing there at the very end, facing away from me. His hands hung stiffly at his sides, and his head was tilted upward, staring at the ceiling. "Look, man," I said, trying to sound calm. "If you need help, just tell me what you're looking for. Otherwise, I'll have to ask you to leave." Slowly, his head rotated toward me. And in the buzzing fluorescent light, I realized his eyes weren't focused on me at all. They were staring just past me, at something behind my shoulder. My heart hammered as I spun around. Nothing. Just the empty store, the counter, the humming cooler. When I turned back, he was gone. I swear it was less than a second. But the aisle was empty. I backed up, scanning every corner. My breathing grew louder, echoing in the silence. That's when I heard it, the faint creak of the stockroom door swinging shut. I bolted to the back, pushing the door open, and froze. The stockroom was pitch black, even though I'd left the light on earlier. The air inside was icy cold, so much colder than the rest of the store. "Sir?" My voice cracked. Something moved in the shadows, not footsteps, but a shift, like fabric brushing against boxes. I reached for the light switch, but before I could flick it on, the door slammed shut behind me. Total darkness. I fumbled for my phone, the flashlight beam cutting through the black. Stacks of boxes, metal shelves, cleaning supplies. All normal. But then the beam landed on him. He was standing in the far corner, facing the wall. His coat hung loose around his frame, and his head twitched slightly, side to side, like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. My throat went dry. "You need to leave. Right now." The beam of my flashlight shook as I held it. Slowly, painfully slow, he began to turn. His head twisted first, followed by his shoulders, until finally he faced me. And that's when I saw his mouth. It wasn't closed anymore. It stretched wide, impossibly wide, splitting his face in a way no human jaw should. The skin around it cracked as if it hadn't been used in years. A sound escaped him. Not a word, not even a scream, just a low, rasping hiss, like air escaping from a broken pipe. I stumbled backward, nearly dropping my phone. "Stay away from me." He took one step forward. Then another. I threw the flashlight at him and bolted for the door. It slammed against my shoulder as I shoved it open, running out into the main store. My chest heaved, panic clouding my thoughts. When I turned back, the stockroom was empty. The lights were back on. and the door stood wide open. I grabbed the phone at the counter, dialing 911 with shaking hands. But before I could press call, I froze. Through the glass storefront, I saw it. The old sedan's headlights flickered back to life. The engine roared. And there, behind the wheel, sat the man, his wide, broken smile pressed against the glass, staring right at me. The car rolled backward, slow and steady, until it melted into the darkness of the highway. When the cops arrived, they searched everything. No footprints. No record of a car matching that description. The security cameras? Static during the entire event, like someone had cut the feed. They told me it was probably fatigue, maybe a prank. But I know what I saw. And to this day, I can't work a night shift without glancing at the door, waiting for the silent customer to return. Because I know one thing for sure. He wasn't finished with me. If you enjoyed these chilling night shift horror stories, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and hit the bell so you never miss a scare. Hospitals are already unsettling at night. The fluorescent lights flicker, the halls echo with distant footsteps, and even the air feels heavier, like it's carrying all the suffering that lingers within the walls. Working a night shift in one is like living in a different world. A quieter, darker world where anything could be hiding just out of sight. My name is Claire, and I was fresh out of nursing school when I got my first job at St. Helena's Hospital. It wasn't a big hospital, just a mid-sized building that had been around for decades. Most of the staff avoided the night shifts, but being new, I didn't have a choice. I told myself it would be fine, fewer patients, less chaos. I was wrong. It was around 2 a.m. when it happened. My supervisor, an older nurse named Janet, asked me to run down to the basement to grab some supplies. "We're low on 4 bags," she said, handing me the keys. "Storage is down in the old wing. Just grab a box." The way she said it felt strange, almost reluctant, but I brushed it off. I wanted to prove I could handle whatever was asked of me. I took the elevator down, the ding echoing in the empty shaft as the doors slid open to the basement floor. The air was immediately different. Colder. Damp. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones. The hallway stretched ahead, lined with flickering lights and peeling paint. Signs on the walls pointed to different storage rooms, though some of them looked so faded I could barely read the letters. The silence was suffocating. Even the hum of the hospital upstairs felt distant, like I had stepped into another building entirely. I unlocked the storage room, flicked on the light, and nearly gagged. The air reeked of mildew, thick and sour. Boxes were stacked haphazardly, labels faded with age. I started searching, moving dusty cartons aside until I finally spotted the 4 supplies near the back. I was lifting the box when I heard it. A whisper. Faint, almost like the rustle of paper. I froze, my ears straining. The room was empty. I tried to shake it off, maybe it was the air ducts. But then I heard it again. Clearer this time. "Help me." My blood ran cold. I turned, shining my phone's flashlight into the corners. Nothing. Just boxes and shadows. My heart pounded as I clutched the supplies and hurried for the door. That's when the light went out. The room plunged into darkness. My phone flickered, its screen glitching before dying completely. Panic clawed at me. I fumbled for the doorknob, but the metal was ice cold, and when I tried to turn it, it wouldn't budge. "Please," the whisper came again, right behind me this time. I spun around, pressing my back against the door. My breath came in sharp gasps as my eyes tried to adjust. And then, slowly, I saw it. In the farthest corner, where the shadows were thickest, something moved. A figure. Small, hunched. At first, I thought it was a patient who'd wandered down here. But when it shifted into the weak spill of hallway light from under the door, I realized it wasn't human. The figure looked like a child, no taller than my waist. Its limbs were too thin, its head too large, and its skin was gray, stretched too tight over bones. The eyes were nothing but dark pits, empty and endless. It crawled forward on all fours, the sound of its hands scraping the floor echoing in the silence. "Help me," it whispered again, but its mouth didn't move. I screamed, slamming my shoulder against the door until it burst open. I stumbled into the hallway, clutching the box of 4 bags like it could shield me. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered violently, and in the brief flashes of darkness, I saw it crawling out of the storage room, faster now, its movements jerky and unnatural. I ran. My shoes slapped against the floor, echoes bouncing down the corridor. The air felt thicker, colder, like the basement itself didn't want me to leave. Behind me, I heard the scrape of limbs dragging across concrete, the whisper growing louder, closer. "Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me." I reached the elevator and jabbed the button frantically. The doors slid open just as something icy wrapped around my ankle. I shrieked, kicking wildly, dropping the box of supplies. When I looked down, nothing was there. Just a faint, dark handprint seared into the skin of my leg. The elevator doors closed and I collapsed against the wall, gasping for breath. When the doors opened on the main floor, Janet was waiting. Her face went pale when she saw me. "You went down there, didn't you?" she whispered. I nodded, too shaken to speak. She sighed heavily, like she had been expecting this. "We tell new staff to avoid that wing. It's been closed for years. Patients used to be kept down there. The ones they didn't know how to treat." "What was that thing?" I managed to ask. Janet shook her head. "Some say it's the spirit of the forgotten ones. The children. Experiments, treatments gone wrong. They never left." I wanted to tell myself she was joking, but the way her eyes lingered on the handprint around my ankle told me otherwise. I never took another basement run again. In fact, I quit St. Helena's a few months later. But even now, sometimes when I'm alone at night, I hear it. A faint whisper. "Don't leave me." And I know whatever I saw in that basement isn't finished with me. If you enjoyed these chilling night shift horror stories, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and hit the bell so you never miss a scare. Shopping malls at night are nothing like they are during the day. When the crowds are gone and the music stops playing, all that's left is silence. A silence so heavy you can hear your own footsteps echo across the polished floors. My name is Marcus, and for almost a year I worked the night shift as a security guard at Ridgeway Mall. Most of the time it was uneventful. I'd make my rounds, check doors, and sit in the office watching the grainy surveillance monitors. But some nights the mall didn't feel empty. Some nights, it felt like the building itself was alive. One night in particular still haunts me. It was a Friday and the mall had closed late. By 1 a.m. the cleaning staff had left, leaving me alone with the echo of their vacuum machines fading into the distance. I grabbed my flashlight and started my rounds, moving through the darkened corridors. Everything was quiet, until I reached the clothing store near the center of the mall. The mannequins stood in the display windows, frozen mid-pose. Some wore half-finished outfits, others were bare. I'd passed by them hundreds of times, but that night something felt different. I stopped. One of them had its head tilted, just slightly, as if it was watching me. I shook it off, telling myself I was tired. But as I walked past, I swear its eyes followed me. When I turned the corner, I heard it. A faint click. Like the sound of plastic against glass. I spun around, shining my flashlight into the store. The mannequins stood where they always did, but one was closer to the glass than I remembered. Closer by at least 2 feet. I told myself I was imagining things, but the unease gnawed at me as I continued down the corridor. The rest of the mall was silent, the kind of silence that makes you feel like you're being listened to. When I finished my round and returned to the security office, I checked the cameras. That's when my stomach dropped. On the monitor for the clothing store, the mannequins were moving. Not fast, not obvious. But frame by frame, every time the feed flickered, they were in different positions. Arms lifted, heads turned, legs bent like they were mid-step. I leaned closer to the screen, my breath fogging the glass. And then, one of the mannequins turned its head directly toward the camera. Directly toward me. I grabbed the radio, calling out to see if maybe one of the cleaners had stayed late. No response. Just static. With my heart pounding, I decided to check the store myself. Maybe the cameras were glitching. Maybe I was losing it. I walked down the corridor, each step echoing louder than the last. When I reached the clothing store, I shined my flashlight through the glass. The mannequins were all facing me. Every single one. Dozens of blank, plastic faces staring silently. I swallowed hard, fumbling with the keys, telling myself I had to make sure no one was inside. The door creaked open and I stepped into the store. The air smelled faintly of dust and something else, something metallic like rust. I walked carefully between the mannequins, the beam of my flashlight bouncing off their pale faces. They looked so lifelike in the dark, their glass eyes reflecting the light. Then behind me I heard a faint shuffle. I spun around. One of the mannequins had moved. It was closer now, an arm outstretched, fingers curled like it was reaching for me. My chest tightened. "This isn't funny," I said aloud, though my voice trembled. Another shuffle. Then another. All around me the mannequins were shifting. Not walking, not running, just appearing in new positions when I wasn't looking. One moment behind me, the next in front. Their faceless heads tilted as if they were listening to my heartbeat. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a display rack. My flashlight flickered, and in that brief moment of darkness, I felt something brush my arm. Pull. Art. I bolted for the exit. But when I reached the doorway, it slammed shut. I yanked at the handle, panic rising, but it wouldn't budge. Behind me, the shuffling grew louder, closer, until I could hear the scrape of plastic feet against the tile. I forced myself to turn. The mannequins had surrounded me. A circle of blank faces, all reaching out with stiff, pale arms. Their mouths were open now, not smooth plastic anymore but jagged cracks splitting down their faces, as if something inside was trying to force its way out. I pressed my back against the locked door, heart pounding so hard it hurt. "Stay away from me," I whispered. The mannequin closest to me tilted its head, its mouth stretching wider. And then, in a voice that didn't belong to anything human, it spoke. "You shouldn't be here." My scream tore through the empty store. At that exact moment, the fire alarm blared. The lights flickered on, and just like that, the mannequins were still again. Silent. Motionless. The door clicked open behind me and I stumbled into the hallway, gasping for breath. When I looked back, they were just mannequins again. The next morning, I told my supervisor what happened. He stared at me for a long time before sighing. "You're not the first," he said quietly. "The last guard quit after an incident in that store. Said the mannequins followed him. We didn't believe him. I quit the following week. But even now, when I close my eyes, I see them. Those blank faces. Those splitting mouths. And I know deep down that if I ever step foot in Ridgeway Mall again, they'll be waiting." If you enjoyed these chilling night shift horror stories, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and hit the bell so you never miss a scare.